Hello everyone and welcome to this Excel tutorial how to build a dashboard part 2. Please note that this is a continuation video from the previous video. So if you haven't watched the previous video, this video is not going to make any sense. So I suggest you go and watch that first and then you come back to this video. I'm going to have a link in the description. Right, going back to where we left it in part 1, we've just created the title section and then our revenue performance summary table month to month, which is basically connected with the raw data back here in the pivot tables. Now we want to create a graph on the top left of the dashboard that's basically showing the same data as the table, but it's going to be a graph this time. So we can easily visualize which months are hitting target and which months are not. So what I have to do is that I have to select the data I want. So I select the first 6 fields and I also keep pressing Control down and selecting the targets too. You've noted that I haven't selected totals because I don't want to see the totals in the graph. I only want to see the first 6 fields here and then versus target. So I go into Insert and I click on Recommended Charts. Then I go into All Charts and I go down here where it says Combo. And now the first 6 columns are going to be stacked bars. So I change them to stack, and then series 5 again, stack column, series 6, stack column. So you can see it's taking shape now. You can visualize it here. And then series 7, which is the target, we want it to be aligned. And we click OK. And then we want to move our graph up here at the top. And now we need to change the coloring and then give names to our series so we know what everything is referencing. To do this, we need to right click on the table and go to select data. And then series 1, I click edit, and then the name, which is this one, the revenue, I click OK. I click on series 2, edit, then the second field, and then etc. etc. I do the same thing for all the columns. Number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6, and then this is the target, number 7. I click OK. OK, there we go. Additionally, I want to change these numbers to the actual months. So again, I right click, go to select data, and here on the horizontal category axis label, I click edit and I select my range, which is my months. Click OK, OK. Now I can visualize, basically is March is the only month that we are not hitting target. However, we want to change the formatting of this graph to look a bit nicer. The first thing we want to do is to change the revenue colors. I want to select something bluey, so I'm just going to select, let's say, this one. And also the baseline, which is basically deriving from the revenue, I want to give it a similar color, maybe a lighter blue. So it's like it's a continuation. So we've hit this much, and the baseline is that we expect this revenue to recur every month afterwards. The target, always red. Try to keep, not always, but I always use red, and I right click on it on the outline and I make the line to be dotted lines, and I also make the weight to be a bit less, so it's not that strong. Next, we want to select something, the partner fee or the registration fee. However, they are too small, so we need to select a very strong color. So I'm going to zoom in. I can select them. I click on it, right click, fill it in with a very strong purple. And then the next one, I need to fill it in with a very strong, I don't know, let's say green. Again, it's tiny numbers, so we can't see them. That's why. So I go back to 100% now. Next thing is that the future opportunities into run rate. I want to make this as dark, a bit dark orange. And then the future opportunities, which is a bit less, I want to make this into light orange. Again, because they are the same thing pretty much, I want to keep the coloring consistent. However, I want to move it. I want to move this column here, the future opportunities, on top because it's easier to visualize it against the red. So what I can do is that I can right click here, go to select data, and go down here on the future ops, and it says push it up, move up. And you can see it switched space now, so it's easier to visualize it against the target. Then I click OK. Right. The next thing I want to do is that I want to add a border around the future months, just to show that there is a difference there. Those are future months to come. It's not the actual that has landed. So I right click on the baseline and I go into outline with the border, and I want to add a blue one, maybe this one, and I want to add it as dotted. Yep, there we go. I want to repeat the same process for the baseline over here. So outline, strong orange, and I want it to be dotted again. And I want to do the same for the future opportunities at the top here. Right click, outline, the same color, orange, and at the same time dotted lines. There we go. Next, we want to change the angle of these months, so we have a bit more space. So I can select the months, right click, go to format axis, and then I can go here in the axis options here where it says size and properties, and the custom angle, I can customize this to maybe here. As long as we can see all the months, then we create some more space. I think it's fine. It might be different on your PC depending how big your monitor is, so you can adjust it. Then I want to change the legends to span in all the graph and take all the space. And then I want to change the size of the writing to as maybe this one. No, 10.5 is fine. I want to delete the title because so I select it and delete it. Because we're going to add the title here on the section, so we don't want the title there. Actually, let's add the title on the section. So let's unmerge this, and let's say until here, I merge it, and I say 1. This is the FY21 revenue plus ops plus opportunities versus target. And I want to align it in the middle, dark blue, bold, and maybe more, or maybe not bold, maybe that's fine. Let me see what I have here. I have 16 is a lot. There we go. And then I want to merge this one too, which is going to be part 2, but it's going to be section 2, which is going to be the slicers, which we will create in a second. And I can format it now. So if I select this here and I click format painter, I do the same, you can see straight away it adjusted. And then down this one is going to be number 3 actually, section 3. And I also want to remove the bold because it's not bold, and I want to make it 16. So I keep it consistent across all my headings. Right, last thing we can do on the graph before we move on to slicers is that we can add a border on it. So we can right click and go to outline. So outline on the border is the same thing. And then select the bluey, maybe this color, and then make it dotted so there is a border around it, so we can make sure we align everything correctly. Right, I'm going to leave that space a bit empty, and now we're going to move to slices. But slices now, we need to go back to our pivot table. So this is our pivot table, and go to pivot table analyze and insert slicer. So we want to add slices for the following fields. We want the product. That's one. We want the account name, the industry, the vertical, the segment, the store manager, which is basically the account manager. If it's a potential account, and I think that's it. How many do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think that's fine for now. Right, so let's add them down here. Let's start by segment, which is the most important one, and then move on to product. And then the rest is just going to be here. There we go. Right. For the segment and so now let me just test if they work. If I just filter priority here, you can see everything changes correctly, both the pivot table and this one down here. So all the slices, as you can see, they work fine. So we click here to remove the slicing. And we want to copy the segment and the product category. So I click on segment and then control, then click on product category, then control C to copy them, and control V to paste them up here at the top. And I'm just gonna make them a bit smaller. So as long as I can visualize 4 segments, I'm okay. Then we can scroll. Same thing with product category. We want to make it a bit smaller. I also want to select both of them with control. I want to go to slicer and I want to change the color to maybe this color, or yeah, this color is okay. I want to align them on the top and I want to distribute them. It doesn't work, it's only 2 of them, so it's fine. Right, so here is where I'm going to add drop down menus for the other slices, because if I add all of them, it's going to take all the space. So there is a way to add drop down menus. To do this, we're going to go back to the pivot row data and create another pivot table. So we're going to copy this, so Control C, then we want to scroll down, Control V to paste it. We're going to open the pivot table and remove all the fields. So we want to right click, show fields. We want to remove everything. So again, it's the same pivot table. Come on. And we want to add the slices that we have up here. Oh, as you can see, it's moving because we need to right click on the pivot table, go to pivot table options and remove the auto fit. So this is going to stop the pivot table from readjusting. So now we can adjust it back. But yeah, we don't care about the slicers. Right, so here now on this new pivot table, I need to add all these slicers into the filters. However, I can do it on the front end, so I'm just going to copy this again. Actually, I'm going to cut it, Control X, and then paste it here, Control V. And now I'm going to start by adding the slicers, which is basically the account name, the industry, merge cell, okay. Oh, it's going upwards, that's why it doesn't let me move it down. Let me remove the fiscal year, and now I have space. So account name, industry, vertical segment, we have the manager, and we also need the potential account. 1 2 3 4 5 1 2 3 4 potential account. There we go. Right, so now I can move them back up. So here I can create an empty box, which is basically going to be these two. As you can see, it auto fits again, so it's messing with my column. So I need to right click on the pivot table, go to pivot options and remove the auto fit. And now I have to refix these two columns here. That's fine. I need to move this back here. And now I want to create an empty box around it, like a frame, like the one that the slicers have. So I can go to insert, go to where is the shapes, and then this box here, and maybe something like this. I want this to send it to the back. Now I also want to have fill as no fill. Now I want to have the outline as this blue color, and maybe the line, the weight of the line a bit less. So it's similar to this ones, let's say, and then maybe make this ones a bit wider. There we go. Maybe let's try and select everything and go to slicer format, align at the top, then distribute horizontally. Yeah, I mean the color is not exactly the same, but I'm not sure we can change the color of the slicers. I don't know how to do that. So maybe we can try and find a more similar color, but it's blue up and down. Yeah, okay. Next, we want to add friendly names. So remove the underscore store manager. We can say this is actually the account manager. This is the alias, by the way. It's not an actual name, it's the code, and then it's a potential account space. Then these two columns are much larger than everything else, so maybe make them a bit smaller, a bit more. There we go. So let's test now if this works. Actually, I need to push this down once, and I need to add the title. So this is the title is going to be additional slicers, because we have like 5 more there, and then we want to give it the same background as this one. So we change the background from here, bold, and then at the we need dotted lines now. I need to change it, the lines to be dotted lines. Click here, and then maybe we can make all of it dotted lines. But actually, each time we slice, it's going to readjust. So this formatting is not going to help. Let's see. So even if we do this white, So even if I select now an industry, banking, you can see it changes, but the whole dotted lines, they go away, and the white background goes away too. So there's nothing we can do there. Whereas in Power BI, you can adjust these things. Anyway, now we have additional functionality here, so we can select anything we want. As you can see, priority public sector, it changes. Now we can see that priority public sector had a problem back here in this month. Public sector is all red, is not achieving anything. SMB is achieving something. So yeah, you get the idea now. We can slice and dice the data in different ways now to investigate why are we meeting or why are we not meeting the targets. Next, I want to make sure that they are the same size, these three slicers. So I can right click on segment, go to size and properties, and I can see that the height is on 4.02. So if I select all of them with control, and I just go to it changes, height, there we go, 4.02, enter, and now I can go back to slicer, align on the top, and align distribute horizontally. So now they are equally distributed and the same size. Additionally, I want to change the product category name to just product category. So I can right click and go to slicer settings and change the caption down here by removing the underscore. Right. The next thing we want to do now is to create a visual down here that is giving us a one-off if the account or if the category or anything we select is going to meet the target by the end of the year, a yes or a no, or basically in one go, the totals. So here you can see that we can see it by month, but we can't see if we're going to meet it at the end of the year. We can actually see it down here, but we want something to visualize it. So what we can do, first of all, let's make this as bold because these are totals. I've just noticed. We always want the totals to be bold. Additionally, we want let's format the painter for this one. So we know it's green, so we know we're meeting the targets at the end of the year. Now I want to select these two down here, go to insert, go to recommended charts, all charts, go to these bar charts over here and select the graph here. There we go. Now we want to put it down here. First thing we want to do is to click on the bars and make them overlap because we want it to be in one. So if I select this bar here and go to the series option here, I want to make them overlap to 100%. There we go. Next thing is that you can see it doesn't start from 0. This is why this graph doesn't make sense. So if I click on the series down here and I go to the axis options again, I can set the minimum to be 0. There we go. It makes more sense now. It's only 5.11% ahead. The next thing is that I want to select the target, which is this one, and go to fill and put a no fill and go to outline and make it red and also make it dotted lines. This one, I want to right click here, go to fill and make it maybe this light green and set the outline to be a darker green. Additionally, let's make the outline to be dotted lines too. Next thing, I want to give names to my legends here, so I can right click and select the data. The first one is going to be the total FY21 revenue. The other one is going to be the total. Click OK, and then the next one is going to be the total target. FY21 target. Actually, click OK. Click OK. The one here, we don't need it, so we can just delete it. Now we can actually, let's put a name on it. So the name is going to be FY21 total revenue versus target. We want to select the whole thing and change the color of it to be dark blue, maybe bold, maybe a bit bigger. We go, and then we want to test and see if it works. So if we click on priority public sector, we can see that we are ahead of target. We can see it down here too, public sector. Now we can see that we are actually like 50% below target. So now we can actually visualize how far away we are from the whole target. Because as I was saying before, we cannot visualize it from here, but we can from this graph. Something else we can do is that we can add the data labels, so we can actually see the numbers. And then I want to add this one in the data labels. I want to add it inside base, so it's down there, and I want to make it red because this is the target, and then bold, and then maybe 10. And then this one I want to make it green because this is the revenue, bold, and 10, and this has to be outside end. So if I unfilter it now, yep, we can see it makes sense. Something else is we want to add a border around this new graph now. So the border is going to be the same as this one basically, and then maybe use dotted lines again. There we go. Nice. Right. I hope you're enjoying this video, by the way. If you feel that you are getting enough value out of this video, please click that like button and subscribe to my channel. Right, the next thing we're going to do now is that we're going to create a section here, which is going to be our segment summary. So the same data by segment this time, and a segment and a section below it, which is going to be our products summary. Do this, we have to create the back-end data first, because up until now, all of this data is linked to this one pivot table here. But now we're going to create another pivot table, which is going to have the same data in slightly different format. To do this, first of all, I want to add a section here, like a yellow color, which is basically a separation. And I want to say that this pivot table fits section 1, 2, and 3. So I know what this section is fitting. Maybe merge it and make it bigger. So this is just some title, so it helps me know what's fitting what. Now I'm going to copy this pivot table. So Control C and then Control V down here. And now I can readjust this pivot table. So this is actually going to be section 4 for now. I'm just going to leave it as 4. And I can readjust this pivot table now to have the segment summary. To do this now, I click on the table and I go here on the fields. I actually want to remove the month and the fiscal month, and I want to add segment. Where is segment? I want to add segment down here and values up here. Right, so now I can see the data, the same data by segment. First of all, I want to order the segments by the highest performing in terms of revenue for the year. So I select this range. I can go to sort and filter and sort largest to smallest. And now, the same way as we created a table below our pivot table that gets the data from the pivot table, we're going to do the same for the segments. So I'm just going to copy them, paste them down here. However, now I cannot just say equals and put the number as 4. Let me just demonstrate why. Because maybe some accounts are on different segments. So if I go back to the overall performance summary now and select the an account, so let's say this. So remember, before we do that, remember that the first segment is strategic, okay? And the number we see is for strategic. If I go back and select some other segment, public sector, and I go back here, you can see that it allocated the public sector number into strategic. So we cannot do it the same way we've done it here. We're going to have to use a function which is called getPivotData. To demonstrate this, very easy function, all we have to do is say equals and then put this number here. So this function says that getPivotData, so if I click on it, if it searches from this pivot table, the sum of revenue in this column and the segment where the segment equals strategic. There we go, strategic here. So the way to change this now is that, let me just copy the names. I can show you how to do this faster now. If I filter here where it says strategic, I select it and then I click on this strategic here. I click F4 3 times. So I'm going to lock the cell from going to the right, but it's going to be open going downwards. So if I drag it down now, what you can see, it references all the cells going downwards. But if I try and do it without this way, so if I say equals here and try to drag it down, you can see it doesn't change because it's locked. So what I can do now is that I can drag this way, and then I start changing the sum, the column name. So instead of sum of revenue, now I want the sum of partner fee. So if I copy this and paste it into the sum of revenue. Unfortunately, I can't select sum of revenue. For some reason, it doesn't work. Then I click down. This one, it should be the sum of registration fee. So I copy it and I paste it here. And then we scroll down. This one, it should be the sum of baseline. Then double click to go down. This is the sum of future opportunities. Double click, sum of opportunities into run rate. Double click, and then the sum of target. Now we can actually test and see if this works. Right, let's go back now to the front end. Let's pivot priority public sector. And we go back to our raw data. As you can see, it kept priority public sector on the same order now, because it's searching for priority public sector in the pivot table. Right. By the way, as you've seen, we have lots of errors, so we need to use if error. Let's hide this data. We don't need this data, so we can hide it. Now we need to create the totals column. So totals, which is going to be equals. By the way, we need to add if error and put 0, otherwise totals is not going to work. So we need to go back here and say if error, comma 0, and then click enter. I'm just going to copy the if error. Copy, enter, double click, come on, and add the if error here, paste, comma 0, double click. Right, so we finished this now, so we can do the sums. So sums is going to be equals the sum of all these three, all these 6 actually, excluding the target. So now we have the totals and the targets by segment. These are the totals, these are the targets, and this is by segment. Just to test it now, if we select something, you can see put zeros now and the total works. If we didn't have if error, it was going to throw us an error here at the totals. Going back here now and filtering this. Now we need to create the front end. So I'm just going to copy this, paste it down here. Let me see how it looks. This is section 4 actually. Let me unfilter it. So maybe let's use up until here the data. Let's merge it. Say section 4, and this is going to be the segment summary or segment breakdown. Right, so now we go down here and we give names to our columns. So this is going to be the segment. I'm going to leave 2 columns for the segment. This is going to be the total revenue. Again, oops, I'm going to leave 2 columns for total revenue. 1, 2, and then this is going to be the target. And then this is going to be the revenue versus target. As you can see, I'm using the same totals columns we have over here. And this is going to be the dollar difference. And this is going to be revenue versus target percentage difference. Target. Right. So I can align them in the middle. And then what I can do, I can copy this and paste it as it is. Go. Now I'm going to use VLOOKUPs to get the values. So I can say equals VLOOKUP because we might encounter the same error with the ordering. If we don't do VLOOKUPs, we can reference a cell and then it's going to change the alignment. Then say I want to VLOOKUP strategic, comma. I want to go here. Again, if you don't know how to use VLOOKUPs or pivot tables, I suggest I'm going to have a link in the description where I have an Excel tutorial where I'm explaining VLOOKUPs and pivot tables in depth. Right, I select my range. As you can see, the totals is on column 9. But before I go back, I want to lock this, say comma 9, comma 0, because I want the absolute match. I also want to add an if error at the top. Remember, we need if errors, comma, maybe empty. There we go, and then I can just double click, it's going to go down. Target, do I have the totals? No, I can calculate the totals. I can copy the formula now, and remember the targets is 1 column before the total, so it's actually column 8, so I can copy paste, change the column, click enter, and then we have the column, and then this we can calculate equals if error again, this number minus this number, comma 0, what is it, comma 0, error, actually if error, comma space, empty space, not 0, and then this number is going to be equals this one divided by this one minus 1, and we need the if error beginning, comma, empty space, click enter, and then I can just double click. Oh no, these don't work because they don't have anything next to them. Right, so now I can actually merge them because the VLOOKUP sometimes is not working on merge, so I have to do the VLOOKUPs first and then merge everything together. So I can say this is merge, this is merge, and this is merge, and then I can merge this one too. Format painter, merge everything down below. This is going to be the total. I want to align these ones at the left, and then this one I want it to be merge format everything. Actually, I can use the same format as this one, so the merge. These numbers are dollars, then this is a percentage, 2 decimal places. For the revenue versus target now, I'm going to do a conditional format, and I want to use data bars maybe, yeah, this one's. And for this one now, I want to use the same format as this one, so I can just format painter and then drag it down. There we go. Actually, we need to change it back to percentages, but there we go, it works fine. Next, we want to add the dotted lines around our new table and maybe increase the size of the rows a bit so it's much clearer. Align them in the middle. And then we need to do the totals, so equals sum all of these. Same with the target. And then these two, we just drag them down and they should work straight away. Actually, we don't want the conditional formatting on these two because, especially on this one, because it's affecting the above. So let's clear the rules from this cell. Correct. Okay, and then make them bold, a bit bigger. Yeah. Did it mess anything? No. Yeah, you need to be careful when you're expanding the columns because sometimes it messes everything above here. It's not fully aligned. Yep. Okay. The next thing we want to do now, actually these ones, we don't need them. So let's remove this. Here we go. We also want to create another summary down here, which is going to be our product summary, which is going to be exactly the same as the segment summary, but this time by product. To do this now, we go back to our raw data. We create an empty column, so we mark the separation of section 4, and we copy all this and paste it next to it, which is going to be section 5. We go. And we can go back here at the front end, copy this section 4, down here, which is section 5, name this as product category summary. Product category summary. And then we can also use the same column headers because we're going to have the same column headers. Apart from this one, it's going to be product category. Go. We go back here now, and we simply need to change the segment with product. Product category, drag it. We have data, it says. No, actually, let's remove the segment first and add the product category. There we go. Now we need to change these. So I'm going to copy these 3, copy, paste them down here. All this data we don't need. We only have 3 product categories. I need to repeat the same process with the get pivot table, get pivot data. Actually, you can skip this if you want because it's going to take me some time to write this down, but it's up to you. I select online category. I'll change it with this one 3 times F4. Then I'll drag it down. Actually, I need to add the if error this time from the beginning. I don't have to come back. 0. Drag it down, and then I'll drag it on the left. Up until targets, correct. Now I need to change the namings. So partner fee. It was going to be much easier if we can actually select it. Sometimes it works, but not always. I don't know why. There we go, almost done. Double check the numbers merge. So we have a total revenue of 275 million. Total revenue 275.9, correct. Right, now we need to create the front end. So I'm just going to copy these three product categories, paste them down here into product category. Same way with the VLOOKUP now to get the revenue and the target. So equals VLOOKUP, open brackets, this one, comma, here is on column 9, comma 9, comma 0. Additionally, I do want to lock my VLOOKUP so it doesn't drag down. Now I also want to add an if error at the beginning, if error, comma, empty space this time because it's the front end. There we go, it worked fine. Additionally, I'm going to copy the formula, paste it on target. Target, remember, is one column before, column 8. And then I can drag this down. And then let's see if I try to conditional format. So take the format painter from here and apply it here. It worked from the first, yeah, it worked apart from these two. These two I can actually copy these and paste it, and it's going to apply it straight away. Wow, it's massively down. Okay, let's do the other ones too. So sense. So let's see. There we go. It readjusted now. As we can see, like online products is their way of the target. Why are you two not working? There we go. Totals. I'm just going to copy and paste the name and equals sum. These two, drag it. There we go, and then make these both bold and maybe larger, and then maybe make the lines a bit bigger, aligning them in the middle. There we go. So as you can see, we get the same numbers. Actually, these two, can we make them a bit bigger? Yeah, we should. There we go. We can see that we get the same numbers here in all three of them in the difference, because they are different breakdowns, but the totals should be exactly the same. Same with the percentage points. As you can see, all of them are the same percentage. Now, if we test the slicers, so if I go on priority public sector, we can see it works fine. It stayed on priority public sector. And we can see that the product breakdown adjusted accordingly. Right. The next thing we're going to do now, and the last thing we're going to do now, is going to be a scatter plot in this area here that compares the marketing spend with the revenue. This is basically to investigate if we are putting more money towards marketing, does that generate more revenue? Yes or no, and by which breakdown? And when I say which breakdown, I mean all these categories we have. Each time we slice and filter, the graph here is going to readjust. Right, to do this now, we have to head over back to our pivot row data and create a new section with the pivot table that's going to be fitting the scatter plot. So we go back here, we create an empty separation. So we mark the separation of the different section, and then we select the previous, any pivot table is the same actually. Copy it and paste it here, and this is going to be section 6, which is going to be our scatter plot. First of all, we need to remove all the fields apart from revenue, because remember, now we are comparing revenue and marketing spend. So where is marketing spend? So we have revenue and marketing spend next to each other, but we want to see these for every point in our data set. So if I unhide here and go back to our raw data, we have a column that is called distinct ID. So this ID is per row, it's a distinct ID per row. So we can use this column now to plot every point on the scatter plot. So if we drag distinct ID on the rows, we can see now that it created this data set. In Excel though, we cannot create the scatter plot directly from a pivot table. So if I select the scatter plot, you can see it says that it cannot do it from a pivot table. So what we can do is that we can say revenue here, and then marketing spend next to it, and then link them together. So this one is equals AQ5 to AQ4. There we go. And then I drag it on the left, and then maybe I can do this because I don't want to drag it down. I'm going to create a new column here, and then I'm going to move these ones on the right. Sorry. And then if I double click them, they're going to go all the way down. So now I can simply select these two, click Shift and Control, and then the arrow down. So it selects all the data. We need to remove this grand total because it's going to mess the data, by the way. But let's do it after we create the scatter plot. We go to Insert, and then we select the scatter plot here. And then this is our scatter plot. The reason it looks like this is simply because that dot there is the totals and it's massively off. So if I right click on the pivot table and remove the grand total, it should work. There we go. So now I'm just going to copy my scatter plot. Actually, I'm going to cut it, Control X, and I'm going to paste it here, Control V. And I'm going to make it so we take all the remaining space. You can see Excel is struggling a bit to handle this because, as we know, it's not great for stats. So Power BI was going to do a better job here. I do have the tutorial, by the way, in Power BI if you want to watch it. I'm going to have the link in the description. Now we want to make this look a bit better. So I'm just going to change the dots fill to be green. There we go. And then the outline to be the bluey. That's fine. Next, I want to change the title to be, this is the relationship. So it's the revenue. Revenue versus marketing. Oh, slow relationship. This is because it cannot handle it. That's why. And then we click on the title. We change the coloring, make it bold, and make it a bit larger. There we go. The next thing we want to do is to add a trend line. So you can click here on the dot and add a trend line, and we want the regression. So linear regression. There we go. So we can see the relationship. Additionally, if we want to add the coefficient of determination or R square here, just to see how much one variable explains or is dependent on the other variable, we can go here where it says trend line and click on more options, and then go on the trend line options and display the R square. We can also see the intercept and the equation if we want to actually apply the formula, but we're going to leave it for now. Right, so let's make this coefficient maybe, this R square a bit blue, maybe a bit larger, just to see how much they're related to each other. And now we can actually test it, see if this changes. So if I go back here and select the industry to be banking, let's say, and then we scroll down here, we can straight away see that the segments, strategic and priority commercial, are not going to hit their targets within banking, but the SMC commercial is going to hit the targets, and by how much. We can also say this is because of online products are massively off target by 73%. And additionally, we can say that the if we put more marketing, R square is okay, it's quite high, 70%. So we should expect to generate more revenue. Right, so I've shown you how to create this dashboard from scratch. If you feel that you've got enough value out of this video, please click that like button and subscribe to my channel. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments below. I've already done this in Power BI and Excel. If you want me to do it in Tableau or Click, please let me know in the comments below. Thank you very much for watching.